Okay, let's just dive right in. Think about a time recently, maybe someone you were seeing or trying to wasn't really clear about what they wanted, left you kind of hanging.
Oh, yeah. Or, maybe a coworker who always seems to need a hand, but isn't quite there when you need something back.
Exactly. Or even just like someone in public doing something that felt, well, just thoughtless. We all have these moments, don't we, where we see how we wish other people would act.
Mm-hmm. How they talk to us or treat us. We've got these sort of internal blueprints for how things should be based on what we expect from everyone else.
Totally. And those expectations, they feel so rational, necessary, even when we're looking outwards.
Right. You feel the frustration or maybe confusion or just plain annoyance when someone doesn't meet that standard you've set.
Yeah. But there's this tension there, isn't there? Something this whole deep dive is really going to get into.
Definitely. Because, well, how often do we turn that spotlight back on ourselves with the same intensity? That's the tricky part.
Absolutely. And we're working today from a source that lays this out really clearly, maybe uh, even a bit uncomfortably sometimes.
Which is good. That's where the learning happens, right?
True. It's a chapter called Things We Expect of Others, but Rarely Consider Changing Ourselves. And it basically lists out 16 common examples of this exact thing.
Holding others to standards we don't always meet ourselves. Ouch.
Yeah. It's like a mirror, isn't it?
A very clear mirror. What's amazing is how often we just don't see that gap in the moment. We're so focused on what the other person did wrong.
Mm-hmm. Our own part. It gets surprisingly blurry.
So this source, it kind of sharpens the focus on those specific blind spots.
So our mission today, essentially, is to walk through this list, these 16 points. We want to look at each one, kind of unpack the core idea.
And the contradiction that's usually hiding in there.
Exactly. And think about what this whole gap between what we expect and what we actually do tells us about, well, us. Human nature, self-awareness.
Maybe just how messy it is being a person trying to get along with other people.
Yeah, pretty much. And we really want to invite you, listening in, just see which of these land for you.
Mm-hmm. Which ones make you nod along, maybe think, oh, I know someone like that.
Or, maybe more interestingly, which ones make you pause and go, huh, okay, maybe me too sometimes.
See what comes up.
All right, let's unpack this first one. Point number 1 from the source. It's about expecting honesty and clarity, especially around intentions, like in dating or even friendship sometimes.
We really want people to be straight with us, don't we? Just tell us where things stand.
Desperately. But then the source contrasts this with our own tendency sometimes to keep people kind of on the back burner.
Yes. Being deliberately vague, maybe non-committal.
Right. Because it feels, I don't know, safer or it keeps our options open, but it leaves the other person completely guessing.
It really highlights that self-interest, doesn't it? We want the security of knowing, but we might deny that same feeling to someone else if being totally honest feels, well, inconvenient or limiting for us.
Mm-hmm. Prioritizing our comfort over their need for clarity. Okay, moving to point 2. This one's about unconditional kindness and open-mindedness.
Big ones. We expect others to just be kind, be open-minded, like all the time.
Yeah, but the source points out the irony in how we sometimes demand this, like getting really critical or even aggressive towards someone for not being open-minded enough.
Or trying to sort of shame someone into being nicer, it completely backfires.
It does. It's that paradox, right?
Wow.
Trying for force of value using actions that totally contradict it.
Exactly. We want the end result, them being kind or open, but the way we go about it is, well, the opposite. Judgmental, maybe even closed-minded about their supposed closed-mindedness.
Wanting the outcome without embodying the way to get there. Okay, point 3. This is a classic, especially in romance or dating.
Let me guess. Making the first move.
Bingo. We sit there maybe hoping someone shows interest, thinking, well, if they really like me, they'd do something about it.
Mm-hmm. They'd ask me out or text first or whatever.
But the source turns it around and asks, when was the last time you took that risk? When did you make the first move?
Asked someone out validatively. Or even just clearly told a friend or family member how much you care without waiting for them.
It's tough. It points to that shared vulnerability, I think.
Totally. Putting yourself out there takes guts. Risk of rejection is real.
So we wish others would be brave for us.
While we hesitate to do the same for them, maybe not realizing they might be feeling the exact same way, hoping we'll be the brave one.
Yeah. Okay, number 4. This touches on how we value passions, ours versus theirs.
Right, like getting really frustrated when people don't seem fired up about our big cause or the issue that means the world to us.
We think, how can I not care about this? It's so important.
But then the source notes. What happens when their passion starts kind of spilling into our space?
Uh-oh. Like maybe too many posts about their niche hobby on social media. Or really strong political opinions we just don't want to deal with right now.
Exactly. Suddenly their passion feels like an inconvenience, annoying even, overwhelming.
It shows that selective tolerance, doesn't it? Our thing, that's crucial, deserves attention.
Their thing.
I,
Especially if it's different or, like you said, floods our feed or challenges our comfort zone.
easily dismiss as just noise or an imposition. It's about guarding our own headspace, maybe.
Prioritizing our focus over theirs. Makes sense.
Okay, point 5 brings up trust. Generally, we expect people to trust us right off the bat.
Yeah, of course you can trust me. We get kind of offended if someone seems skeptical or questions our motives.
Totally.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you trust me? Yet, the source points out, think about the reasons we have for not trusting other people.
Oh, those always feel completely solid to us.
Right. Well, you see, they did this thing. Or, I just get a bad vibe from them. Our reasons are always valid.
It's our internal narrative at work. Our own caution is like wise judgment based on evidence or keen intuition.
But someone else being cautious about us, that feels like an unfair attack. An insult.
We don't often stop to think, well, maybe they have their reasons too, based on their experiences.
Good point. And this ties into number 6, which is a biggie. Expecting unconditional support. And maybe even a little bit of mind reading.
Ah, yes. The expectation that the people closest to us should just know.
Know what we need, know when we're struggling, be there without us having to spell it out.
And if they don't get it right, it feels like they don't care enough. It feels personal, rude even.
But the flip side, the source asks, how often do we actively try to anticipate or, psychoanalyze the needs and wants and unspoken feelings of the people in our lives?
Probably not as often as we expect it from them. It taps into that deep wish to just be gotten, effortlessly understood.
Yeah, like wanting connection without the sometimes awkward work of actually communicating our needs directly.
But that puts a huge, often impossible pressure on other people, and it kind of bypasses the actual way you build that understanding, which is talking.
Right. Okay, point 7. This gets into judgment. Thorny territory.
Always is.
We really dislike it when other people judge parts of our lives they don't fully get. We think they wouldn't say that if they knew the whole story.
And we're probably right. There's usually more context.
A. The source points out how easily we do it. Judging strangers, coworkers, maybe even friends, based on really limited info.
Judging people whose whole story we definitely don't know.
It's a massive contradiction when you put it like that. We demand to be seen in full color, full context.
But we often slap a simple black and white label on others based on a quick glance. It's just easier, I guess.
Easier to filter the world that way than to demand nuance when we're the ones being looked at.
Okay, number 8. This shifts to how we see relationship problems. Other people's, specifically.
Oh, yeah. It's so easy to look at someone else's messy situation and think, duh, just leave them. Or, seriously, why can't they just get over it?
We apply these really simple, logical fixes from the outside.
But the source contrasts this with, well, us, when we're in the middle of our own relationship mess.
Suddenly, those simple fixes don't seem so simple anymore.
Not at all. We want patience, understanding. We expect tolerance for the exact same kind of messiness or indecision that we just criticize in someone else.
We project this kind of desired simplicity onto their complex lives because it feels cleaner from afar.
But when we're in it, that outside logic feels cold, inadequate. We want compassion, not just answers.
Makes sense. Point 9 looks at belief systems, using religion as the main example.
Right. So in theory, lots of people say they accept or tolerate different religions. All paths lead to the same place, that kind of thing.
Sounds good. Very enlightened.
But the source notes this subtle shift. What happens if someone doesn't really understand our specific spiritual path or dogma?
Do we maybe privately think they're just not quite there yet or not at the level to really grasp it?
Exactly. Or this feeling that, yeah, sure, all paths are valid, but maybe ours is just a little more effective, insightful.
It shows how that surface level tolerance can sometimes hide a deeper, maybe unconscious belief that our way is kind of superior, especially for things we hold really personally.
Yeah. And if someone doesn't get it, we see it as their limitation, not just a different perspective.
Interesting. Okay, point 10 is quick. Almost meta.
It is. We think people who judge others over really petty stuff are just awful.
So small-minded.
But then we immediately turn around and judge them for being judgmental.
Yeah. It's the judgment trap. We end up doing the very thing we dislike, just aimed at a different target. Judgment itself becomes the issue.
Point 11, humor. Specifically, jokes at someone's expense.
We don't like being the butt of the joke, do we? Especially if it feels lazy or mean-spirited, hits a nerve.
No way.
Hmm.
But the source points out how common it is for us to use that exact kind of humor sometimes.
The cheap shot, the put-down disguised as a joke.
Yeah, just to get a quick laugh, maybe feel a little bit better or smarter for a second.
It speaks to how easy negative humor is as a social tool, maybe? Tearing someone down even slightly can create this quick, shared moment.
Even if it relies on making someone else uncomfortable, the very discomfort we try to avoid ourselves.
All right, point 12. This looks at self-value, or lack thereof.
Right. We often tell other people, you need to value yourself more, or stop putting yourself down all the time. We want them to be confident.
We encourage self-worth in others. Sounds positive.
It does. But the source adds a layer. At the same time, we might actually expect those same people to, actively build us up when we're the ones being self-deprecating.
Or maybe we even find our own constant self-criticism kind of endearing, hoping others see it as charming or humble.
Yeah, it's like we apply one standard for their internal state, fix your self-worth, but use our own lack of it to fish for compliments or reassurance.
That's a definite misalignment, expecting them to be strong while maybe leaning on their validation when we feel weak.
Okay, number 13. This is about change, specifically changing bad habits.
Oh, this one's going to hit home for a lot of people, I bet.
Probably. We look at someone else struggling maybe with health stuff, a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, and we think, why don't they just change? It seems so simple.
Right. We think a quick pep talk or some basic advice should be enough to snap them out of their self-sabotage.
But then the source brings it right back home. How easy is it for us to change our own deeply ingrained, maybe detrimental habits?
Suddenly it's not so simple, is it? It points to how much we underestimate the sheer difficulty of real personal change.
Totally. We see it clearly from the outside without feeling all the internal stuff, the fear, the resistance, the sheer inertia that makes it so incredibly hard.
Things we know all too well from our own attempts to change.
Exactly. Okay, 14. Super relatable. Public behavior.
Oh boy. Yeah, we roll our eyes, we sigh, we maybe silently fume about people being inconsiderate in public.
Loud phone calls, being late, taking up too much space on the train, cutting in line, whatever pushes our buttons.
But the source points out how quick we are to excuse our own similar behavior.
Oh, but I was just tired, or
Yeah.
I was really stressed out, or I was just excited and got carried away.
The exact same action feels totally different when we do it. It only feels like a nuisance when someone else is the perpetrator.
Because our reasons always feel valid and understandable.
It's almost a perfect example of that actor-observer bias psychologists talk about. We see our actions through the lens of our internal state and circumstances.
Makes them seem necessary, or at least excusable.
But other people's actions, we don't have that internal context, so they just look inconsiderate, thoughtless.
15 takes us back to honesty again.
Okay?
We expect complete, total honesty from other people. Truth is king.
We say we want the truth, the whole truth.
But the source highlights what happens when that honest truth is something we don't actually want to hear. Something critical, maybe, or disappointing.
Suddenly that honesty gets labeled it's mean or cruel or unnecessary.
Exactly. And then flip it when it's our turn to deliver a truth that might be uncomfortable for someone else.
How often do we kind of dodge it, soft pedal it, avoid it entirely until we absolutely have to say something?
Pretty often, probably. It shows our desire for honesty is often conditional, doesn't it?
Yeah. We want the truth that confirms our view or makes us feel good, not the truth that challenges us or makes us uncomfortable.
And our willingness to give the truth often takes a backseat to avoiding conflict or protecting our own comfort zone.
Okay, last one. Point 16.
This one goes deep. It talks about expecting unconditional love from partners, family, our closest people.
That deep sense of being loved no matter what.
Right. And the source suggests that sometimes we seek that intense, unwavering love from others almost as if their love can fill a void inside us.
Like it's supposed to compensate for our own lack of self-love or self-acceptance.
That's the idea. Looking to an external relationship to provide something, a sense of worth maybe, that ultimately needs to come from within.
Wow, that's a poignant place to end the list. It suggests we might be putting this huge, unsustainable pressure on our relationships, expecting them to fix something internal.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, read it through that whole list. 16 points.
Yeah.
It really does shine a light on some deeply human patterns.
It really does. That consistent theme is just undeniable, isn't it? Applying higher standards or just different rules when we're looking out versus when we're looking in.
Or when we're the ones being evaluated.
And like you said earlier, the goal here isn't to make everyone feel terrible or guilty.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's more about insight.
Right.
Just recognizing these patterns in ourselves, maybe seeing them with a bit more understanding in others too.
It's all part of that messy, ongoing process of just figuring out how to be human together. Self-awareness, not self-blame.
Yeah. Acknowledging that the very things that drive us craziest about other people might actually be areas where we ourselves have some blind spots or ongoing struggle.
It's definitely food for thought.
So maybe let's leave you, the listener, with this question to chew on, drawing from what this list implies.
Yeah.
Given how incredibly good we seem to be at spotting the flaws, the gaps, the inconsistencies in other people.
We're pretty sharp observers when it comes to others.
Right. So what might actually become possible if we took even just a fraction of that sharp observational energy and turned it inwards?
Yeah.
Dedicated it to understanding the whole story. The motivations, the fears, the context behind our own actions and expectations.
Imagine approaching yourself with the same level of curiosity you might apply to figuring someone else out.
Yeah. How might that change how you move through your day,
Yeah.
your interactions, your relationships? If you came at it with that deeper curiosity, maybe, instead of just that immediate judgment or expectation, both for yourself and for the people around you.
Something to definitely mull over.